Hi, Dharma Circle. Swati here, the embodied Dharma coach. Let's talk about cycle changes. How do you know if you are experiencing a cycle shift? And what does this mean for your dharmic path and your purpose from a Jyotish perspective? So, Jyotish is, of course, an incredible tool for understanding natural law, for nature cycles and rhythms. And we can use Jyotish to actually support us in understanding where am I in my cycles and my rhythms in relationship to nature based on the time of my birth and my karmas and how I'm cycling through these karmas. And actually, we have two specific ways to really understand cycles and align with cycles and rhythms from a Jyotish perspective. First of all, we track transits, and remember that Vedic astrology is astronomically correct. So it is, in fact, exactly what's happening in the sky, in the heavens, at any given moment. So that's different than other astrological approaches like tropical or Western, which is not astronomically correct. So first of all, we have a tool that is accurate. And secondly, we're tracking transits, we're understanding their cycle shifts and how that's impacting us. And actually at this moment, we are getting ready for one of those major cycle shifts, which I'll share more about. And we also have dashas. And in Vedic astrology, we use dasha cycles to really understand where am I right now in the maha, in the overall cycles and rhythms of time and nature. And we are all in different places in these cycles and rhythms based on where we come into this life at the time of our birth. And it's understood from a Vedic perspective that wherever we step into this life, whatever dasha cycle we step into in this lifetime, it's where we left off in a previous life, and we literally just pick it right back up and step right back in at the time of our birth, and the karmas continue to unfold. A dasha cycle will show us mentally and emotionally how we orient and what is influencing us at any given time. And that feeling level and the thinking level is very instrumental in our choices and our behaviors. And so we really need to understand these cycles and rhythms on an intimate level so that we know how to pivot, change, and adjust. And I hear this all the time. It's one of the reasons we're doing a class on this today, because clients inevitably come to me and they say, nothing's working. What's going on? What used to work no longer works. I don't understand what's changed. And inevitably, there is a cycle shift that has taken place. And we need to understand that from a Jyotish perspective so that we can move into harmony and right relationship with what nature is asking of us. Now, this is especially important if we have committed to and chosen a dharmic path. Once we say, you know what, it's all about the purpose of my soul, and I am here to share my gifts and wisdom and to live my purpose, my dharma, it's game on. Doors start to close behind you. What used to work will no longer work. And in fact, once we commit to Jyotish, Dharma, and we make that commitment, nothing else will be accepted or allowed. And sometimes this happens without our conscious awareness. You may not even know fully that you are in a shift cyclically that it's dharma or bust. And I hear this a lot. I mean, especially for those of you who are just kind of stepping into this awareness and this desire, you may still be walking a career path and it's starting to really not work for you. This is often when people get fired or let go and their job ends or whatever, and it's like, and they can't get another job. They can't get another regular job career. This is actually what happened to me. I came to a major pivot and a dasha shift, and I was actually fast approaching a Sadisat, a Ketu Mahadash, and major transits that were impacting me and my ninth house of Dharma. And I couldn't get a regular job to save my life. And it was basically like being backed into a corner. You will offer your sacred gifts or you will starve. And that's what I had to do. So I started sharing Jyotish knowledge and wisdom because I literally couldn't get a regular job. I was overqualified, but no one would even hire me for like a sales position at a clothing store. I mean, it was really that dire. Some of you may be experiencing this or have experienced this, where nothing that used to work, and especially in the mundane world, the relative world, it starts to not work for you anymore. And you are being pushed in the direction of, I must share my sacred gifts, my knowing, my wisdom, and trust myself in this process. So often, that sounds like, why is the money slowing down? Why is my job falling apart? Why are relationships not working? Why are health challenges showing up? It can show up on any of the pathways of Dharma. And it often feels, and this was the case for me, where I had no other option but to choose Dharma. And of course, my pathway, my dharmic pathway is literally Dharma. And for some of you, that might show up through relationship challenges or health challenges or money challenges. It can also show up through literally challenges with your soul purpose. And it becomes an initiation process. The problem here, and this is where Jyotish becomes an essential tool of support, is that we'll start doubting ourselves. Our confidence starts to wane, confusion comes in, there's a mistrust that shows up. And having Jyotish to support us in the understanding, the why are these changes happening, can be so helpful for understanding the why. This is a cycle shift. You are in a new dasha cycle. You're fast approaching a major mahadasha shift, or a major transit shift is taking place. Often clients come to me and reach out to me when a major shift is happening in their chart. So a major cycle shift through transits, dasha shifts, and usually both. And you're feeling it. What used to work does not work anymore. And guess what? It won't work in the future either. So you need to know how to pivot properly. You need to know what nature is supporting for you moving forward and what will no longer work, and how to be more in harmony and in right relationship with nature and natural law. And that's what Jyotish teaches us and shows us, in fact, based on the map of your karma. And when we're looking at a Jyotish chart, we're looking at the map of your body, literally, and how nature moves through you, the karmas, past, present, and future, how these karmas impact you, the karmas that we can change, the karmas that we cannot change. And remember that 75% of our karma comes from our ancestors. So we have been given, we've just been handed, here's a lump sum of the karma that your lineage is here to work through, and you are particularly special in that process of working through these karmas and these lineage gifts, the challenges, the grief, the trauma, all of it. So when you are in a cycle shift, we have to change our behavior. We have to change our choices. We have to change how we're showing up. This is, especially true when the body starts to tell us and there are health challenges. That is a clear indication. Body is saying, hey, you have to make changes. It can happen with relationships as well. What you used to get away with, maybe relationships that used to be okay for you, it's not going to work anymore for you. And this is a reminder, it's time to upgrade. And this can even show up with environment. The environment that used to work for you doesn't work for you anymore. And it used to be supportive. It used to give you some nourishment, no longer gives you nourishment and support. And we have to understand that it's time to make necessary changes before, and that's the brilliance of Jyotish, is actually to prevent the struggle and the suffering. And rather than waiting until everything falls apart or nothing is working, we can actually see on the horizon what's coming, what's ahead, and start making different choices well in advance to prevent, everything just crumbling and you having to scramble to make it work and figure it out. I hate to see that. I really don't want any of us to have to do that. Prevention is really ideal. And of course, all the Vedic tools and resources are really about prevention and supporting our harmony with nature and natural law. And remember that your dharmic path shouldn't be full of struggle. It shouldn't be full of suffering and pain. One of the ways we know we are on path and in right relationship with our dharma and sharing our gifts and our wisdom and in right relation with our lineage gifts and our innate embodied gifts is there's ease. We should be feeling ease. And so remember that when we are feeling dis-ease or discord, that is an indication, I am off. I am not in alignment. I need to change something, restructure something, realign, let go of something, release something, transition, pivot away from something else and towards something new. And so my question for you is, what are you moving away from in your body and in your life? And go ahead and share that in the chat. What are you moving away from in body and life? And what are you moving towards in your body and your life? Name it and affirm this, because it's really important to be listening to your body and noticing what supports this moving away and what does not support this moving away from. And you want to notice and listen and feel what supports this moving towards. I need to move towards this feeling, this embodied feeling. And what supports this? So moving away and moving towards, essential for the path, and to continue to reevaluate this and reaffirm this along the way. And it comes from our body. And our body is going to continue to affirm and remind. And I always say the dharmic path, my definition of the dharmic path is moving towards the nourishment of your body and soul. So does this nourish me? If it does not nourish me, it's a no. Get rid of it. Really, it's that simple. That is the path of Dharma, and it's literally cultivating. And I think of it like trimming a tree, literally cutting the branches that do not support the nourishment of your body and soul. And so we start to prune, literally. And that's the way I invite you to consider these transits and these dasha cycles. We're pruning and we're cutting away that which does not support the nourishment of our soul and our body. And sometimes it's very painful to let go and release and change these very old patterns, behaviors, choices, thoughts, feelings, experiences, especially when they're ancient lineage pathways that have probably been fed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. How many generations has that been fed? And I think of this from a dharmic perspective because so many of us dharma workers are actually here to restore the dharma of our lineages. And it's been missing for many generations. Many generations have been feeding adharma, mostly through survival and the necessity to survive. And they have not been able to, for whatever reason, to feed the pathways of Dharma. And if you are a Dharma worker and you're here to awaken through your Dharma, your gifts and your wisdom, and to live Dharma and to be prosperous through your Dharma, then your job and your only job is to feed Dharma, that which nourishes body and soul. And remember, this is also about nourishing your ancestral body as well. So when we are in a pivot, it's time to pay attention. And we are in a pivot right now. And there are combinations that we need to be mindful of as these shifts and changes take place. We have a Saturn a Saturn a shift coming. And for some of you, if you are in a Saturn Mahadash, or maybe Saturn's your Amakaraka planet or a ruling planet for you. Maybe you're in Sadhisat or starting Sadhisat. Maybe Saturn's dipped into your 8th house and or even your 12th house. These are places along the path where we need to be aware. We need to understand this is different. This cycle is different. I have to move forward in a different way because nature's going to be requesting something very specific. Maybe Saturn is even conjunct your natal Rahu or Ketu with this transit. I mean, he's 2 years in Aquarius, and he'll be retrograde in Aquarius for 6 months, from June 17th into November. This is a time to pay attention. Saturn's transits are especially important because he is the slowest moving planet. He takes 2.5 years to move through any sign. And so when he does anything, it's low and slow. And we need to know how to work with him because he can bring lasting pain and suffering and struggle with all things Saturn. Saturn rules body, a physical body, particularly bone and nervous system. Saturn rules over structure, cycles of time. He is the Ayurveda master. If you want to be well, you must honor Saturn. You must be in right relation with Saturn and his structure. He wants simplicity. He wants you to do your grief work. He does not like excess, and he wants simple. He is an old grumpy man. You cannot give him, he's not exuberant. You cannot be excessive with him. He wants simple, structure, consistent, and that's how he gives his best results. So as Saturn goes retrograde in Aquarius, over the next 6 months, this is a cleanup cycle. Remember that a retrograde planet intensifies things. So whatever the nature of Saturn in Aquarius is for you, and your chart specifically, whatever house this falls in, as he retrogrades, these tendencies will intensify. Meaning anything that's out of balance or in disharmony, he wants you to pay attention, one pointed focus to this. Clean it up. Simplify this. Get rid of the excess. What's not in alignment with nature. Clean it up. And that's what he's requesting. And he wants it simple and he wants it consistent. And he's very much a blue collar worker. He wants you to put in the effort. You're going to have to use your physical body, literally, to get it done and get his results. So this is an example of making sure that we are working with nature and cycles and rhythms, because when we don't, it causes unnecessary suffering, struggle, pain. And Saturn is particularly, I'll say, notorious for bringing suffering and struggle and pain. Excuse me. So you'll want to know where Aquarius is in your chart, how Saturn, your relationship with Saturn natally. You'll want to know if you're in a Saturn dasha cycle, Antar, or even Antar dasha, right? You'll want to know if Saturn is a prominent planet in your chart, maybe a ruling planet for you. Again, the nature of Saturn is important. And we do this with the whole chart. We do this with the nature of this individual, your body. And we do this regularly. It's most important if you're noticing you are in a cycle change. Excuse me. My throat needs some water. Okay, I'm going to try to make it through here. I think I'm done talking for today. So what I want to remind you is to pay attention. Pay attention to these changes that are happening in your body, on your path, and listen. Reach out for more support and guidance. This is what we do in Dharma Mentorship, by the way. So if you are in a transition point with your body, with your business, with your path, and you need more guidance and support in order to move forward and to truly be prosperous with your business and your offerings, then this is what Dharma Mentorship is for. And I have different levels of support that I provide. If you know that you need extra support and guidance right now, you're in a pivot, you're in a cycle shift, you're at a transition point, maybe what was working before is no longer working. Sometimes, and this is ideal, is you actually feel something changing in your body and you intuitively know it's time. I need to make some changes. That is a good sign. We want to listen to that. And of course, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and let's see what you need for your path, for your business, for your offerings, for sharing your dharmic gifts in this world so that you can be truly prosperous and in more harmony with your gifts and your wisdom, and to be more wealthy and abundant and nourished along the path. It's not meant to be a struggle. This is not a path of suffering. This is a path of nourishment, prosperity, abundance, vitality, and that happens when we are able to align with nature more fully, more easily, more simply. So comment Dharma below and I will reach out to you and share more information about Dharma Mentorship. We can have a quick chat. We'll see what you need, where you are on your path right now, and what will feel most supportive for you moving forward. We'll come up with a plan. Comment Dharma below, and I'll reach out to you about Dharma Mentorship details. This is an important time for Dharma Mentorship too, by the way. I have 2 spots available in my private work, and I'm offering special bonuses this week only. Last week and this week, this is it. We've already had someone come in. I'm super excited to work with her, and that leaves 2 spots. So please reach out to me this week if you're ready for this level of support and guidance, and you know it's time. And look for more information about the Saturn retrograde cycle. I'll be sharing an article with you around that, and you can read more about it in my newsletter. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week, and remember to share in the comments below. What am I moving away from? What am I moving towards? And comment Dharma for Dharma Mentorship details. All right, everyone, take good care.